up? I'm Faye and you're watching Faye's Chat. Hello. And on today's episode, we are going to be talking about unsafe emotional environments. If you hear whining, it is Zara. I don't know why she's whining. She's out. Like, you hear her walking around. She doesn't like when I'm paying attention to my phone, which I've been doing a lot today. Unsafe emotional environments affect you drastically, believe it or not. I know someone who is unaware of the effects of it will be like, what do you mean? It doesn't really matter, but it does. And the fact that you say it doesn't matter shows that you were in an unsafe emotional environment and adapted, but adapted in an overcorrecting way. So we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna go find the plant of the week real quick and then we'll get into it. Okay, the plant of the week is my Hawaiian spider plant. I just accidentally ripped a baby off, but it's okay because you could just put it in a pot and it'll grow. I got this a little while ago. I low-key feel like I've said this one already, but I did say, I don't know, at some point that they're gonna lapse. So yeah, I'm gonna put this down and then we're gonna talk about it. Overcorrecting is something that you will come across a lot in self-love and reprogramming your mind, because sometimes if it's not one extreme, it's the other. If it's not love, it's hate. If it's not trust, it's mistrust. There's an in-between, but we tend to go to one polarity, which is okay in some cases, because if it's not safe, it's dangerous. I understand that. But when it comes to certain things like building emotional walls or not allowing yourself to express yourself anymore, because one time when you were 5, it gets a little muddy, if you will. So we're gonna break it down. Unsafe emotional environments are not being able to express yourself without making yourself feel small, unheard, unseen, unimportant, unworthy, and all of the above. And it can happen with anyone that you're close to, because the closer you are to a person, the deeper the effect they have on you, even if it wasn't malicious. I said that recently. I don't know if it's in a video that I have posted or deleted, because I film a lot of videos that I just delete because they aren't to my standards, but it's okay. And if it isn't another video, then it's totally fine. I do say this all the time, but self-love repeats itself just like the truth does. If you find yourself getting triggered by a certain person a lot, they may mean a lot to you. And I'm not saying that like if you're being bullied or something like that. I mean in the sense of if it's a significant other or a friendship that you've had for a long time. When you are in closer quarters emotionally, they have a larger effect on you, which is okay. It's good, especially when it's pouring into each other and expanding together and growing together in that relationship, working with the relationship instead of working on the relationship, because it's supposed to work together, not separately. But sometimes when we're doing really fast processing without going back and revising, we have a tendency, like I mentioned earlier, to overcorrect. So say they were having a bad day, you didn't know they were having a bad day, and they snapped on you. Instead of being like, wait, why did they snap? You are like, oh, I mean less to them now, or oh, I am never gonna open up again. Which, mind you, I'm very aware of how common that is. I am someone who has done most of these things that I mention in my videos, which is kind of why I can talk on them. Not to mention, I also study these things, so it's not just me talking out of nowhere. It's a normal response. A correct response, no, but a normal response. But we have to go back and revise that because it was an unsafe emotional environment, which means that when you do reach a safe emotional environment, you aren't going to know what to do because you have already put these emotional walls up in your mind. They could be the safest person ever, but because you have emotional walls up, you're still going to register the idea of talking to them unsafe, which is creating a wall and a space between you guys that doesn't always need to be there. Now, if it is a person who continuously hurts your feelings or degrades you, then it's fine to have that wall if you want to keep them around. But when it's people that shouldn't be distant, that's when the issue arises. Now that you know what an unsafe emotional environment, what does a safe one look like? It is reassurance, it is communication, asking questions, finding interest in how you are feeling or doing, feeling taken care of while communicating with someone. It is a rare occurrence because you have to be aware of your effect on people emotionally in the world, which isn't something that we're really taught, but it's out there. Feeling worthy, feeling heard, seen, respected, understood. Really just being able to take down the armor. Sometimes we come to people defensively because we are used to having to defend ourselves while communicating, which can lead to either properly defending yourself or eventually just dropping it. Because sometimes they're not asking you how you're feeling to use it against you, which people do, and I understand the reasoning for the defense, not for the people using it against you. But to defend yourself from that energy, of course you're going to protect the person who... No. Of course you're going to protect yourself, but when it comes to someone who isn't trying to offend or manipulate you, it can be okay to put the walls down. And sometimes we don't even realize when we're being defensive or building these walls because, like I said earlier, when you process things quickly, you don't really go back to think about what's going on or what you taught yourself back when you were, 7, and you're like, I'm never talking to another person that deeply again because someone hurt your feelings. A way that you can ask yourself if this is a safe or an unsafe environment is asking yourself what you're feeling and if there is cause for this feeling. Because we can feel nervous when opening up to people in general, but has that person ever made you walk on eggshells, or were you just making yourself walk on eggshells because you're not used to communicating? Has that person offended you in an outright way where there was no way that you could have taken that any other way other than offensive? And how do you feel when you're talking to this person? Do you feel relaxed or do you feel stressed out? Are you looking forward to it or do you dread it? Because those are very big signs, whether it's unsafe or a safe environment emotionally. And being yourself. Do you find yourself creating a fake persona? Maybe not fake, but maybe fluffing up different parts of your personality and hiding other parts for them? Or do you find yourself just relaxed, just being whoever you are in that moment? Because we are complex beings, which means that we will have multiple ways of being. So whoever you are feeling like in that moment, can you express it? Can you feel it? Can you vibe with it? Or do you feel like you have to close it off and contain yourself? And another way you can think about this is, do you create unsafe or safe emotional environments? Are you listening when people are talking, or are you listening to respond? Are you understanding people around you, or are you creating an environment where people can't talk to you? And do you feel like people can be themselves around you, or do they kind of have to walk on eggshells? That one might be a little bit harder to identify, because when people are walking on eggshells, you don't always see it. But are you finding yourself having more open, meaningful conversations, or is it surface level? Because if you have reverted back to surface level after you've had deep conversations, it may be that one of the two of you have created an unsafe emotional environment and now no longer can communicate in a deeper way. Or one person has closed off, but it's the same thing, emotional walls. It is important to go back and revise, like I mentioned earlier, because of these emotional walls, these emotional blockages, and how many we create without realizing it. So asking yourself, is this a valid reason to create a wall with a person? If it is, sure. If it's not, you have to get rid of it. And asking yourself, do I need to communicate with this person about it because it wasn't done maliciously, or is it something that you are aware was done maliciously and now you won't communicate about that topic with? That is all for this video, and to leave us out, I am gonna ask, who did it remind you of when I said that it was an unsafe emotional environment? And how are you gonna deal with that?